This 4x4 is driven by CASA's Climate Smart Agriculture Advisor, Jonny. Jonny's research has identified 8 technologies with potential for investors and climate impact. They are smart irrigation systems using sensors, digital information platforms, solar-powered drip irrigation, processing units and cold chain storage, biocontrols and precision applications, biological coatings to extend the life of food, and biodigesters. This presentation is based on CASA's research into private finance investment opportunities in climate-smart agriculture technologies. It can be found in the evidence section of the CASA website. We asked Jonny 4 questions designed to inform investors about climate-smart and nature-positive agriculture. He had 4 minutes to answer each question. Why are climate mitigation investments more popular than climate adaptation investments?
Mitigation measures are often more able to address bottom line issues for investors and for businesses as well. Quite often they involve things like improvements in energy efficiency or the cost of inputs and energy. So there is a more natural move towards mitigation investments when they're able to address that bottom line. Whereas in adaptation, we often see a much longer term payback for those investments. Those investments are often for building resilience over a number of years. So there is both a longer term payback for adaptation as well in many cases as a slightly lower return on investment. So what we really need to do is to understand how adaptation investments can also directly address the bottom line concerns for investors and for agribusinesses and indeed for farmers. So there are issues there that we need to address, but also we need much greater information for investors to really understand what the return, what the value is to them, what the profit is to them, rather than just the socialized benefits of adaptation, for example, in terms of ecosystem resilience or in terms of avoided losses for farmers and agribusinesses. So there needs to be investments both by public and private entities in understanding the business opportunity in adaptation technologies and adaptation investments, but also to help to mobilize capital. We are seeing that adaptation technologies and adaptation investments are generating profits, are generating returns, but maybe not at the same scale yet as many mitigation technologies are. But they are still viable investments. So this is where we need the role of governments, for example, to play a role in helping to mobilise that capital, to underwrite some of that risk, to help to bridge some of those investment opportunities, to bring in greater private investment. The other thing that organisations and projects like CASA and other governments and donors can do is to help investors to identify the nature positive elements of those investments. We're seeing a huge demand from consumers across the world for much more environmentally friendly products and agricultural products which are more environmentally produced as well. So there is a shift towards, for example, biocontrol products and biocoatings. The reduction of chemicals within the agricultural system is being demanded now by consumers. But for investors, they have a real need, and agribusiness as well, there's a real need to be able to identify what those markers are, what the changes really are, what the impact really is on nature and biodiversity from the use of these different technologies. Once they're able to demonstrate what those are, that's going to really start to scale the impact and the opportunity for investment, the demand for these technologies as well. And that's going to come both from a bottom-up approach, because farmers and agribusinesses don't want to destroy their natural resource base, and a top-down approach because investors and larger international businesses and others aren't going to want to be seen to be using things which are harmful to the environment. They're going to want to be seen to be doing the right thing for people and the planet. So CASA and other stakeholders need to come together to help investors and agribusinesses and technology innovators to really demonstrate the potential and the impacts of these technologies on nature and biodiversity as well.
The CASA programme is proud to be building partnerships across the world to drive investment for climate-resilient agri-food systems. Visit the events page, past events section, to hear other expert viewpoints shared in the CASA 4x4s and webinar series.